Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Imagine if you had some important work to do that required deep concentration. And imagine that you went to the library because you wanted a quiet place to do this so you wouldn't be disturbed. And imagine that instead of the library being quiet, they were blaring rock and roll music. It would be difficult for you to concentrate, and it would be difficult for you to do the kind of work that you did. If you went to a nightclub and tried to do something that involved great concentration, it would be difficult because that's not the nature of a nightclub. Well, imagine if you're trying to make a connection with reality, trying to make a connection with the truth, and inside of yourself you have all these things going on. You have worries and anxieties and desires, and all of them are at a high pitch trying to get your attention, telling you you need this, or you have to do this, or things can't be resolved unless they happen in a certain way, and it's not going that way and you need to do something about it. Well, it becomes very difficult to concentrate while all of these things are going on. We all should be aware that just because we take the time to go into a state of prayer or into a state of meditation doesn't mean that real prayer or real meditation is going on. It depends on the level of noise that's going on inside of ourselves while we are trying to do these things. So, we need to be aware that within us, the mind is constantly creating a certain level of noise. And we need to be aware of what is the effect of this noise on us. And the question becomes, can we be peaceful with all of this noise going on? Can we find a place that's peaceful while all this is happening? Because peace is the beginning of our entrance to the doorway to the truth. Without peace, it can't be done, because you can't move towards truth in a state of anger. You can't move towards truth in a state of unrestrained desire. You can't move towards truth in a state of overwhelming fear. You can't move towards truth in a state of anxiety. These things have to somehow be put to rest. And we, each of us, has to figure out for ourselves how to put it at rest. Now, all of us have different circumstances, but all of us have to be able to find this place of peace. And why is it so important to find this place of peace? One of the names of Allah is Salam, which means peace. Haq, truth, reality, is another name of Allah. So truth and reality are found in Allah. But in order to make that entranceway into truth, you have to find Allah within your own being somehow. Anger is not with Allah. Jealousy is not with Allah. Anxiety is not with Allah. Fear is not with Allah. Peace is with Allah. So by bringing peace into your being, by establishing peace in your being, you begin to move forward in the appropriate direction to find reality, the appropriate reaction to find Allah. When people go out into the world, they find like-minded people to associate with. Thieves find thieves. Biologists find biologists. Doctors find doctors. And so on. Holy people tend to try and create a state of holiness around them. And if you can come into the circle of a holy person, the vibration of that holy person will affect you so that you can feel some of what they feel. And like that, if you can walk away with peace within you after that encounter, then the friends of peace will also come in. And what are the friends of peace? The friends of peace are the other qualities of Allah. So from Salam, Rahman will come, and Rahim will come, and Shakur will come, patience will come, compassion, mercy, gratitude will come, and you will be filled with more and more of the qualities of God. But it all begins with doing away with the qualities that aren't God inside of yourself. So there is this process of emptying of ourselves of all of the things that keep us from reality. So what is prayer? What is devotion? What is meditation? It is a process to cleanse and purify ourselves. So think about that a little bit. You're not bringing anything new into your being. You're clearing the space so that what's already there can come forward and you can recognize it. So everything that you need is already there. And what does it take to bring that forward? It takes knowledge. It takes the knowledge to understand how to purify yourself. The Prophet said, "Go even unto China to find knowledge." So we need knowledge. But what kind of knowledge do we need? The kind of knowledge that helps us come closer to reality. If we truly believe that the purpose that we were put on this earth for was to understand our Lord, understand our creation, understand why we were made, then we need to understand, or at least come as close to understanding as we can, our Creator. And our Creator put a portion of himself inside of each of us. So everything that we need is already here. You're not going to find what you need outside of yourself. It's already in yourself. So the process of knowledge, the process of knowing, is uncovering who you are. So all of these devotions that you do are for yourself to begin to uncover the truth within you. As your focus shifts to the praise of God, that cleanses away all of the things that aren't God within you. Prayer is like an acid that purifies you. Zikr is like an acid that purifies you. It makes you more real. And what does real mean? It means more in tune with the qualities of God. So all of these devotions have a purpose. And the purpose is for self-purification. And once that purification occurs, then that closeness occurs. And when that closeness occurs, things alter for you as a being. Once you've reached a station of peace where you are constantly in that state, then you walk through a world where miracles are not something rare, where you see things in an entirely different perspective, where you look at things in a different way. So you should know for yourself that when you're peaceful, you see things one way. When you're angry, you see things another way. When you're afraid, you see things another way. When you're filled with desire, you see things another way. So what you need to decide for yourself is, when are you at your best state? Are at your best, when are things going the best for you? Is it when you're peaceful or when you're not peaceful? When you're involved in trying to rearrange the world somehow? And that can be a million different ways depending on your inclination. If we can find peace within ourselves, our path begins to move towards truth. And we can then be an assist to others on the path. But if we aren't peaceful, we can't be helpful to ourselves, nor can we be helpful to anybody else. So, for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of humanity, we need to be peaceful. I have found that people who aren't peaceful and who have agendas and who have motives bring difficulty to everybody they run into, especially the ones that they're close to, because they can't see beyond their agenda. They can't see beyond their motive. When you're in a state of peace, you are no longer in a state of need. And it is the removal of that need from your being that allows you to focus on truth. need, when it's strong, hides truth. The need, the desire, becomes the thing that is of paramount importance in your life. So somehow we have to give up our desires. We have to give up our needs. We have to become rid of them. And to do that, we have to recognize what motivates us and what makes us be the way we are. And if we can't do that self-examination, or if we're unwilling to do that self-examination, we will never find out the truth of ourselves. So somewhere, somehow, we have to begin to work on finding real peace within our being. And this real peace is what's going to take us on the true path of finding our Lord. It can't be done without peace. And all of the things that we do have to be with the thought that they will bring about peace. People go and do various kinds of ritual performances. They've been taught these often since the time they were children, and it has become habitual. Part of things that become habits is that they're done without thought. They're done without purpose, and they're done without intention. So if you go into prayer and you don't have the intention to become peaceful, and you allow the mind noise that you bring with you into prayer to stay with you throughout your prayer, you haven't prayed. You've just had mind noise and a recitation going on at the same time. And this doesn't do you any good. It doesn't bring you closer to truth. When you go into prayer or recitation, or even sitting still, you have to set an intention that you are going to release yourself from your anger. You're going to have to release yourself from anxiety. You're going to have to release yourself from all of the qualities that are not peaceful. Now, part of the difficulty here is people think that they are entitled to be angry, that it somehow does something for them. They're entitled to be jealous. It somehow does something for them. It makes them feel better somehow. But in truth, all of these things, anger, jealousy, divisiveness, are poisons. And you may be thinking that you're projecting these poisons onto somebody else, or these poisons work against somebody else, but the truth is these poisons reside within you and they poison your own system. So we have to give these things up for the sake of our own life, for the sake of our own existence, for the sake of our own clarity. If you knew that you were carrying a poison inside of your system, wouldn't you go to a doctor to have it removed? Well, the sheikh is a doctor for removing these poisons of the heart. The sheikh shows you a place where anger doesn't exist. The sheikh shows you a place where only love exists. The sheikh shows you where truth exists. And for the time that you are with the Sheikh, if you can just let yourself go, you can share in that, because the Sheikh has the ability to share with the students what it is that he has. If he can't do that, he's not a real teacher. But the real teachers can do that. They can share who they are with you. But again, you have to walk in with an intention to be free of all of your own demons while you are with him. You have to set an intention to release yourself of everything that you consider the difficulty in your life while you are with them. They see things from a state of perfection. They see things from a state of purity. And when you're with them, you're allowed to see things from that state. And what you have to carry away from the encounter is the ability to continue to do this yourself. So we have to learn in our life and in our daily encounters with everything how to approach them in a state of peace, how to approach them in a state of equilibrium, how to approach them without prejudging anything and without the backdrop of self-interest in everything that we do. If we are constantly in a state of self-interest and we do everything to somehow try and promote our own being, we learn very quickly that peace is not going to come to us readily. We have to give up self-motive. Why? Because self-motive is an egocentric separation between ourselves and everybody and everything else. And as long as that goes on, there cannot be a true merging with reality, because in reality, the self disappears. So as long as the self is the prominent portion of who we are, and when I say the self, I mean the worldly self, we are running askew of purity. We are running away from truth. We are involved in the problems of the world to the exclusion of understanding God and finding God within ourselves. And that's how it works. And somehow we have to learn how to overcome that. And we have to find techniques that help us to overcome that. That technique might be recitation of the names of God. That technique might be doing the prescribed prayers. That technique might be just sitting still. That technique might be counting your blessings. That technique can be a lot of different kinds of things, but that technique has to have an intention. And that intention has to be that we will become purified. And in that purification, we will begin to see and understand the truth. And maybe that technique could be just as easy as sitting with a baby and holding that baby in your arms and letting that baby's innocence overwhelm you so that you feel the innocence of that child, and all of the bluster and the enormity that your existence is fades away in the smile of that infant. In truth, we are all infants to Allah. We are all children to Allah. We are all children to the truth. And we have to have that innocence of that child in order to be able to find the truth. It's within that innocence that true peace comes. It's within that innocence that true purity comes. It's within that innocence that reality comes. Everything else is a veil that separates us from reality. So when we bring innocence into our being, we allow God into our being. When we bring purity into our being, we allow God into our being. When we release the arrogance that's within us, we allow God into our being. When we dissipate the fear in our being, we allow God into our being. All of the qualities that aren't Him, as we let them go, we come closer to Him and we make room for Him. All of the qualities that aren't Him separate us from Him. So we need to begin not to separate ourselves from the truth. We need to bring ourselves closer to the truth. And this process of bringing ourselves closer is the true work that we have been given. This is the holy war. The holy war is to become holy. It's not to cause havoc. It's to become holy. And the way that we do it is working on ourselves. So may we all become involved in this war to become holy. And may the fruits of the truth enter into each of us. And may we all reach that state of true peace in reality with our Lord. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.